In this video, we'll be talking about how to go ahead and apply for an ITIN, what it is, how to get a US Stripe account, how to get an EIN, how to open up a US bank account, all those topics. And we'll be discussing it in this video because as an Australian, you can save a lot of money with a US bank account, especially if you have a lot of clients and customers and you're selling a lot in the US. So that's exactly why I did this video, and I'm going to basically share 5 hours worth of research in this simple 10-minute video. So let's jump right into it. So let's start with, what is an ITIN? Basically, it is an individual taxpayer identification number. It is for tax processing issued by the Internal Revenue Service. Now, the IRS issues ITINs to individuals who require to have a US taxpayer identification number. But people usually don't need an ITIN if they already have a social security number or social security administration. So it's like an alternative for people who are not citizens in the US, but they need to pay tax because they get revenue from the US. Now let's go over the eligibility of getting an ITIN. So 1, being a non-resident alien who requires to file a US tax return. It's funny how they use alien. 2, a US resident alien who is filing a US tax return based on their present days in the US. 3, a dependent or spouse of a US citizen / resident alien. 4, you can be a dependent or spouse of a non-resident alien visa holder such as a H-4 visa holder. 5, a non-resident alien claiming a tax treaty benefit. 6, a non-resident alien student, professor or researcher filing a US tax return or claiming an exemption. Do you need a US tax return? Or do you need to do a US tax return if you have an ITIN? So if you're applying for an ITIN without a federal tax return, it's important to provide proof to support your claim for an exception. Most of the time, this comes in the form of duly signed letters from your employer, bank, or mortgage holder. But other situations calls for legal documents such as employment contracts or business incorporation paperwork. You'll find a detailed list of exemption criteria and acceptable evidence in the official W-7 form instruction from the IRS. Now, how do you go ahead and apply and get an ITIN? Now, here's the instructions if you're in the US. So 1, you just mail your W-7 form, your tax return, proof of identity, and foreign status government to this address. Then you only need to file a tax return to the address above once you've filed your W-7 form to get an ITIN. In subsequent years, when you have an ITIN, you'll file your tax return as directed in the form's instruction. Now here's some instructions when it comes to filling out the form. Pop! Feel free to pause it if you want. So go ahead and just get that big paragraph. You will need your original documents for any purpose within 60 days. Pop that paragraph up. So that's option 1 of getting your ITIN. Now option 2 is you can apply for an ITIN in person using the services of an IRS authorized certifying acceptance agent. This will prevent you from having to mail your proof of identity such as your passport and foreign status documents, so you lose the chance of losing it. So it's like a pro. Lastly, there's option 3. Option 3 is make an appointment at a designated IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center. This will also prevent you from having to mail your proof of identity and foreign status document. After processing, the IRS will issue your ITIN through mail. Now let's go to the important part. What do you do as an international? So there's option 1. You can go ahead and do exactly what I said above. You would have to send your passport overseas to this address: Internal Revenue Service, Austin Center, ITN Operation PO Box, blah, blah, blah. Or you can go ahead and go through a certifying acceptance agent within your country. Literally just search, like, for example, Australia certifying acceptance agent. Now, a foreign passport is the only one that can stand alone. Basically, if a passport is submitted, there's no need to submit any other documents. Now, if a passport is not submitted, a combination of at least 2 other documents with at least one containing a photograph must be submitted with the ITIN application. The IRS will accept copies of original documents if copies have been properly certified by the government agency, foreign or domestic, which issues the documents. So these are the instructions for applicants submitting their requests for a certified copy of their passport by the US consulate to support the application for an ITIN, Form W7. So they must mail these following items to their office. So this is if you do it yourself. Complete a form of the W7, basically the application for an ITIN, a self-addressed express post envelope, current passport, and one clear photocopy of your passport, and the applicable fee. Now I think applying for an ITIN, it's actually free. Now applications are only accepted by mail and they're not accepted in person, so you have to mail the items to this address, and fingers crossed it arrives with no issues. Plus there's going to be a long delay, like it's going to take 4 months for them just to open up your postage. That's 4 months with no passport. Now if you go with acceptance agents, like these were some ones that I found locally in Australia, different prices. You can pay for just the passport certification. You also have to pay them extra if you want them to do your tax return. A lot of people that have different setups. So I just called to get a bunch of different quotes. And right now, I think my plan is I need to figure out and talk to a international foreign CPA, tax accountant first, because I need to figure out if this is worth it. So let me go over, this is really important, the discounted rate or how much you save from having a USA Stripe account or a US bank account. Here's Australia's exchange rate. Like this was at the time I made these slides. It's like $1.34. Now if I use World First, which is like a international bank account that I have, their exchange rate is $1.36. So that means it is 1.43% more expensive to use Australia Stripe. Now obviously I can't tell all my clients to bank transfer me to my US bank account. It just doesn't make sense. So that's why I use Stripe. Now, if I do $1 million a year through Australian Stripe account, if I lose 1.43% to conversion fees, that's $14,300 lost. Whereas if I use a US Stripe account, I'll hold the US dollar would go into my World First account, and I'll be able to convert it at that better rate and transfer that money to my account cost free. So one, if we're doing $1 million a year and I save 15,000, hopefully the CPA costs and all these costs involved would only be a few thousand. That means every year I'll be netting 10,000. But then again, is the stress worth it? Will it be stressful? Will it be confusing? And that's sort of what I have to learn. And when I figure those things out, I'll definitely share it with you guys. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this is a more high level, different type of content. Let me know your thoughts. Let's go ahead and announce the last video's winners for $1,000 worth of courses or consulting course with me. The winners here, if you guys want to qualify, all you have to do is drop a comment below, follow me on Instagram, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, like this video, and I'll be picking the best comment every single video. On that, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with nothing but more value. Peace.